Um, let's start with the last question. I think that Jair Bolsonaro, recently elected in Brazil as president, has a lot of challenges in Brazil. We know that in the past he had some statements that were not very popular with some communities around the world. But what I also know is that I, for example, have this strange habit of reading The Economist, which is not considered a right-wing populist whatever newspaper. And I somehow see that in The Economist, with some criticism towards Bolsonaro, there's also a lot of, they express hope about his reforms in Brazil and about his possibility probably to tackle crime and economic crisis and the outgrowth of pensions that will bring the future possibility of developing a Brazilian economy down. So we're talking about a leader that still has to prove himself. And the very fact that he's friendly to Israel, I think that shouldn't be an obstacle, vice versa, for us to embrace him. I remember a Brazilian president with kind of Trotsky-type views that used to address the plenary session here in the Knesset, an honor given only to few. And I don't recall that anyone asked the then speaker, how come that you're embracing a president that openly is on the edge of communist policy? So I think that, you know, we have to definitely develop relations with democratically elected prominent leaders of superpowers, and Brazil in terms of Latin America is a superpower, and to embrace them, yes, because they are friends of Israel. I don't see any problem with that. Now, moving to the issue of internal democracy. Well, I stated in the past, and I'm stating right now, that as far as any attempt to hurt the Israeli democracy is concerned, they'll find me there opposing it, in my capacity as the Speaker of the Knesset or in any other capacity. For a very simple reason. I know that democracy is not perfect, but I know first person singular what the alternative looks like. Being a prisoner of conscience in the former Soviet Union, I can tell you exactly much better than some people that get nice salaries for running all kinds of pro-democracy NGOs, what the alternative looks like. And at the same time, I think that when we are talking about what happened in the recent years, we have to be very accurate. Yes, there were lots of stupid legislation proposals, including in the Knesset under my leadership. I can't do much about it. It's a free country. Everyone can propose a legislation as long as it doesn't contradict the nature of the state of Israel as a Jewish democratic state. That's what the Israeli basic law says. How many of them?
What's the stupid legislation?
You know what? They are not even worth mentioning for a very simple reason. None of them made it to the third reading. If I remember correctly, none of them even made it to the first reading. They were just tabled and probably in a couple of cases moved into the preliminary reading. So they are not even worth mentioning. Now, there is a very serious discussion in the Israeli society within different segments of the population. And there are certain groups in Israeli society that, yeah, it's legitimate that they exist. Absolutely. But I think that to call a group like Breaking the Silence liberal, I think that we have different definitions of what liberal is as far as you and I are concerned.